What's up, everybody? I'm Jesse Showalter, and this is a crash course in user experience design. The purpose of this video is not to be a deep dive into every single nook and cranny of UX design. You're not going to walk away from this video ready to get a job as a UX designer. But what this video will do is provide you with really good insights and information as to what a UX designer is, the types of responsibilities and skill sets required to be a UX designer, a little bit about some of the basic principles and foundations of UX design, as well as some information on compensation, where to learn, and a few homework assignments at the very end to get you started. With all that being said, let's dive right in and talk about UX. User experience design, or UX, is the process of enhancing user satisfaction with a product by improving the usability, accessibility, and pleasure provided in the interaction with the product. That's a basic Wikipedia definition, and we're gonna build on that definition as we go. At its core, UX is really about ensuring that a user finds value in what you're providing to them. And there's a lot of discussion about what the basic principles or foundations are of UX design. There's books and blog posts and magazines and all sorts of stuff that say different things. The following 7 points are what I believe to be the foundational principles of UX design. Foundation number 1 is that your product should be useful. Your content should be original and it should fulfill the need of the user. Number 2 is that a product is usable. It should not only be easy to use, but enjoyable to use. Number 3 is that your product is desirable. UX design is not graphic design or UI design, but it does make sure that all of those visual components come together to make the product desirable. Number 4 is that your product is learnable. Every product should be navigable and simple, and the user should be able to learn it while they're using it. Number 5 is that a product is memorable. A user should be able to walk away and come back to the application next time and be able to pick it right back up like riding a bicycle because it's so familiar. Number 6 is that your product should be accessible to those who have disabilities. Number 7, your product needs to be credible. Users need to be able to trust and believe that what you tell them is true, so therefore where you lead them is good. The effectiveness of any product or platform falls on the user experience itself. It has to be easy to navigate, it has to be simple to operate, it has to be fun to use, and people have to want to come back to it time and time again. So now that we know what UX is, let's talk quickly about what it is not. UX design is not graphic design, visual design, or user interface design. Although there might be some overlap between the fields, UX design is its own discipline. Okay, now that we know what UX design is, let's talk about the responsibilities or some of the skills and tools of the trade of a UX designer. UX designers do a lot of different things, and it might vary depending on the company you're at or the project that you're working on or what's required of you. But there are some staples in the life of a UX designer, and these are the big 5 in my opinion. Number 1, and the bread and butter of just about every UX designer, is wireframes. A wireframe is the rough guide and layout and structure of any website or product that you're building. It's void of any sort of visual elements, and it's only about structure and content and leading the user where you want them to go. Some questions a UX designer might be asking themselves while building out wireframes are, is this leading the user where we want them to go? How am I sure? Is the visual design that comes on top of this wireframe going to distract or help out this structure and layout? Do clickable things look different than non-clickable things? Okay, next up on the list is user research. You're gonna do tons of research as a user experience designer because making smart decisions is solely dependent on information as a UX designer. You have to have a basic understanding of the core demographic or user base of your product, company, or brand. There's lots of different tools and mechanisms to collect analytics and information, and it doesn't matter how you do it as long as you do it. Some basic questions a UX designer might be asking during research is, who is our main user and what do they want? Are we using data to back up our assumptions, or are we going off of subjective feeling here? Have we collected enough information to validate our prototype? Okay, next up on the list is copywriting. Yeah, UX designers right. There's a huge difference between brand copy and UX copy. Ad or brand copy tends to try to uphold the look and the feel and the tone of the brand itself. UX copy tries to get things done as quickly and efficiently as possible. Questions a UX designer might be thinking about while writing UX copy is, does this motivate the user to accomplish their goal? And is their goal our goal? Is the biggest text the most important? Why? Why not? Does this copy inform the user enough, or does it assume that they have a certain level of information or understanding of the product prior? And lastly, is it clear? Is it direct? Is it functional? Does it work? Okay, next up on the list is user personas. UX designers are going to do lots of user personas, and if you don't know what they are, it's the creation using all the information and research that you've gathered of a fictitious person representative of the core demographic or user base. User personas should not be imaginary people with silly names and silly desires. They should really represent the data and the information that you've collected to help you make smart decisions. So when a UX designer has created a persona, he's gonna run them through a series of scenarios and questions. What is our user gonna do when they first launch our product? When would this user most likely use our product? What goal would our user be trying to accomplish in this screen or this flow? And what would make this user's experience better? Okay, number 5 on the list is user testing. UX design is all about an iterative process where you can design, create, research, and then test, and then start that iterative loop back over again. Sitting users down in front of your website or your app or your product and seeing where the friction is while they use it, actually watching them stumble and fumble and bumble as they try to use what you've created gives you really great insights to go back to the drawing board and make it even better. You're wondering, what's this user's motivation for doing what they just did? Or how does it make them feel when they walk through that flow? How much work does the user have to do to get where they want and also where we want? What kind of habits are created if they do this over and over and over? So those are the 5 basic responsibilities of being a user experience design. That's what you could expect to do on the day-to-day if you were a UX designer. Okay, next up, where do you go to learn these things? How do you grow in this skill set? There's lots of different ways to learn UX design. There's books and there's boot camps and there's online courses. There's even a lot of colleges and universities who are creating UX programs. It's a really tough question to answer because it's very dependent on your life and your situation and your circumstances, as well as your learning style and your goals. All that to be said, there's lots of information out there about UX design, and I'll put a bunch of stuff down in the description. Okay, next up is compensation and jobs. What can you expect as far as compensation when it comes to being a UX designer? Well, first off, let me say that UX designers are in great need. Companies and brands are realizing it's not just about the way things look, but how they feel and how they work, and it's about the user. And so they're looking for qualified, talented people to hone in and really stand up for their users. Compensation is a tricky question because it fluctuates depending on your location and your skill set and the company itself. It depends. Are you going to be an intern or a junior level, UX designer? Are you looking for top of the row, like senior UX at a massive company? Those are huge fluctuations in numbers. But hypothetically, let's say you're going for a run-of-the-mill UX position at a startup or a mid-sized company, you might hope to get anywhere between 70 and 90K for your annual salary. Don't quote me on it because numbers are fluctuate. I'm bad at math. Okay, last up, for those of you who are interested in UX and want to know where to get started, I have a few homework assignments for you that you could start right now without going to any boot camps or schools or whatever. Assignment number 1 would be to pick your favorite 3 websites right now, wireframe all 3 of them, and hold them up to each other and try to find commonality between all 3. Assignment number 2 would be to find a horrible website or product or application and try to figure out 5 ways in which you would make that product better. Assignment number 3 would be to create your very first user persona for your favorite application on your phone. Figure out who the target demographic is. Is it you? Is it somebody else? And then build out some details about who that person is and ask that person some questions and see what you think. Well, that's it. That's a crash course into user experience design. You now know what it is and what it is not, some basic principles and foundations, as well as job responsibilities and possibilities of compensation, as well as a little homework to get you started. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, leave a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. I do lots of stuff about design and development and UX as well, so maybe stick around. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comments and check the description for some helpful links. I hope you guys are having an amazing week designing amazing stuff, making amazing stuff, and thinking about the experience. I'll see you in the next one. I love UX design. I love UX design. Wireframes. User testing. Personas. That was the worst thing ever.